Of course. So, Kathryn, we're so glad you're here today. Everybody has already talked, but it's your turn now because we're going to let you share a little bit about what's new and good in your world. And then we are looking forward to your presentation. So take it away. And I know you have your little assistant there with you. So it's yours.
He's now there's a book that we have that talks about the 2-year-old taking all the books off the shelves. He's now trying to do that. So
taking all the books off the shelf.
Taking all the books off the shelves is what he's working on. So he's assisting over there. So I'm Kathryn with Whole Loving Wellness, and I'm a love coach. And I help people to put love back at the center of their life and really realize that we're all love and that it starts with loving ourselves and taking care of ourselves. And what's new and good with me? Well, a friend who was it's just a personal new and good thing, but a friend who was struggling with getting, got a hold of doctors and got clarity. So she feels a lot of relief, and she's my best friend. So I feel a lot of relief too. So that's a personal new and good.
Good.
And then, so I feel really good about that. And then my business, I'm exploring whether I want to get more help with the business, coaching help. So that's my other new and good. And then I guess the last thing would be I'm getting kind of even more clarity on what I want to do with focusing for the next month. So with my course. So because I have a course coming up beginning of January. So there we go. So I'm going to be doing a course with my coaching, and I'm getting clarity with it. So
good. Take it away.
Okay.
We're looking forward to it.
So I was just looking over my list of things. I hope I didn't pack too much in here, but in terms of timing, I didn't time it. So I hope it's not too much, but we'll see. Okay, so basically what I wanted to share was a few things focused on especially ways to take care of ourselves if we're feeling anxious and stressed, because that happens in life, and maybe even more in the holidays, at least for some of us. And then kind of do a check-in with ourselves and call in a little more of what we're wanting in our lives right now. And then do a little reminder about something that you might help with your relationships. So that's kind of my plan. And some of it might be familiar for people who've been here before, but some of it's completely new. And so there we go. That's the plan. Okay, so the first thing is if you can kind of settle in and, don't make yourself super stressed or anything, but notice a time that you're feeling stressed or a thing that's making you feel stressed, because we're going to do a little exercise to hopefully bring some ease to that stress. So, it doesn't have to be a big stress. It could just be, something small, whatever you feel comfortable with. Don't push yourself. You always want to do what feels good and safe and everything. But just settle in. I'm going to put this up here so that you can see me, what I'm doing. And then find something that you can hold on to. It could be anything. Mine's a crayon. It could be, anything that you can hold on to. Okay, cool. All right, so if you've got that stress, just sort of notice it in your body. You can notice where it is if you want. Like sometimes we hold stress in a certain area, or maybe notice is it like a 5 out of 10 or a 3 out of 10? Just notice it a little bit. And then this is a simple thing that I just learned about a month ago and got super excited about. I think I told you guys when I was excited about a new tip. This is one of the new tips. So you hold it one hand, very simple, and you pass it to the other hand, just in front of your belly. And you just go really slow and just kind of go back and forth and let yourself focus on what you're doing, and see for we'll do 30 seconds. And then we'll check in about how we're feeling. So just back and forth, left to right, and back to the other side. Yep, all the way across your body. So this is kind of working on your unconscious mind. You don't have to do anything. It's just the way that our body works and our unconscious mind works. And at least for me, it did help. So different things help different people. So if it doesn't help, it's okay. Just keep passing it back and forth. We're going to do about 10 more. 1, 2, 3. Go slow in front of you. Right in front of you. 4. Hi, Sammy. Are you coming to help? 5. Hi, buddy. 6. Yeah, you want the crayon. 7. 8. 9. 10. And then just take a second, relax your hands. You can put your crayon or whatever you had away if you want, and see if anything feels different. Like see if your mind is less focused on it, see how you feel when you imagine that stressful situation. And you don't have to share, and you can share in the chat if you want. And just notice if anything has shifted. And if it hasn't, that's okay. So that's a really simple one. I like it because it's super like you don't have to think about anything, right? So in case it helps, like it's kind of partly your body distracts, right? It's like your body is focusing on something else. So it kind of moves your focus away from the stress. And there's some unconscious mind stuff that works too, and just the way that our body works. And so, yeah, I'd love to hear if that helped anybody. And then I want to do one other one, which I want to introduce. This is called EFT, and it's a tapping. And there's traditional EFT, which we're not going to do today because it can sometimes make your emotions about something get more strong first, and then like kind of gradually get like help you settle down, right? Crazy, but it helped. Yeah, that's how I felt when it happened. When the person showed me on the video, I was like, whoa, weird. It helped. And like, why? Like what? So yeah, so I'm glad it helped you, Jennifer. Yeah, that was kind of how I felt. It's like, okay, that's super easy. I'm glad it helped me. Like that was strange. So anyway, I'm glad it helped you, Jennifer. So yeah, so this one, like I said, if you do like traditional EFT, I personally don't recommend doing traditional EFT if you're not like with somebody who can take care of you and like, like in case you get really emotional. So this is not traditional EFT. This is like a simpler version from those same people. And then afterwards, we're going to do a version I made up, which is also kind of more positive and, not likely to bring things intense. So I just always like to introduce EFT like that, because I feel like that when I did it after I was assaulted years ago, it was intense. So it was nice to have like somebody supporting me. So, okay. So Sammy is here to help. Yes. Hi. Okay. So this type of EFT, all you say is I release and let it go on each of these points. So it's much simpler than the one that, if you work with me or if you want to learn more about the traditional, it's different. This one is called just you say I release and let it go. And you do these points. You start in between your eyes. I'm going to tell you first, then I'll do it with you. To the right and left of your eyes, under your eyes, your nose, and then you touch your heart. And then at the very end, you hold this point. Okay, so that's all. So it's more simple than the other one. So again, if you want to you could even connect with the old stress and just see if there's a little left, or you could pick a new stress, or it could not even be stress. It could be anxiousness, something else, but just connect to whatever degree you want with whatever's bothering you. And we're going to do it, right, Sandy? Yeah. Okay, here we go. So I release and let it go with 2 fingers, or you can do 3 if you like. Some people like 3. Between your eyes, I release and let it go. You can either do right and left or pick one. I release and let it go. I release and let it go. I release and let it go under your nose. Sorry, I should have said it along anybody who's not watching. And with your whole hand on your heart, I release and let it go. And then holding your wrist, I release and let it go. And let's take 3 breaths. So breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. One more time. Breathing in and breathing out. Okay, and again, that's all. So it's another simple one. It's a little more complicated than the other one, but pretty simple. So yeah. So again, if you want to share feedback, now I want to kind of switch us to what we want to bring into our life. So that's kind of ways to shift out what's bothering you, and you can do them quickly. And if you get really good at least EFT, like I do that in my head sometimes because, maybe you're in a situation where you don't want to actually tap the points. So you can do it without tapping and you get pretty good at it, especially the ones that I knew of are the more traditional ones and the one I'm about to show you later. So you can do those without tapping as you get better. And then if you're like talking to somebody and you get stressed, you can do it in your head, which is pretty awesome, right? Yeah, so those are those. So any feedback, I'm happy to see in the chat. And if you ever do get stressed during this, you can like message me afterwards on Facebook or my numbers in there or something. You know, if you do need support, shouldn't be that way, but just in case. So now I just want to kind of switch into what we want in our lives, and then do one more EFT, do our relationship tip, and then I'll be done. So, okay. So, EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique. Good question. Okay. So now that hopefully you're a little less stressed and a little less anxious, if you kind of think through, I'm going to name a couple of values, and it wouldn't have to be values, but just thinking about what you want in a sort of thinking way. And then we're going to do a little check-in with our wiser selves and see if there's any more hints before we do our last exercise for self-care. So when you think about the next month or two, here's some values that might be alive for you. So one of them is like play and fun. So that's important with self-care, right? Another is connection with yourself. Connection with others is another one. I always put love in there because, you know, I'm a love coach. So I'm just naming a few, but I always put love in there. Like intellectual, you know, learning is a good one. It's kind of a different style of one. And then our basic needs, we always want to put in there. So safety, security, you know, food, water, all those good things that are really essential. So if you just kind of think about even those 6, just to start out with, if there's one of those or 2 of those that really stand out for you, kind of just noticing that. And as we check in with ourselves, you know, maybe asking what you could do for those needs. Okay. So this is, he really has taken, well, let's see, 8 books off the shelves, not all the books. Okay. Anyway, sorry, distracted by 1-year-old. Okay. So, yeah, so pick 1 or 2 of those. And now if you kind of quiet yourself even more, we'll take a few breaths in a minute. And if you can either, we've done this before, some of us together, imagine either like your own self when you're older or wiser or more motherly or more fatherly, more loving, like a more loving, wise, knowing self. Or if you are religious, I'm not, but some people like to connect to a religious thing at this point. But it's really, I think, really helpful to connect to like your own connection, your own self in whatever way, whatever that looks like to you. And just start to imagine her or him, you know, so maybe it's yourself that's really connected to spirit if you're spiritual or religious, or maybe it's just like that wiser mother. I think of like a mother self sometimes, or a mother earth self, or my heart. Maybe it's just your heart and love. And just, you can put him or her on a seat next to you if you like to do that, or you can just imagine her inside of you. And we're just going to ask a couple of questions. So, wiser self, when you think of this value that I just came up with that's so important to me, and maybe it's something else, maybe it's family, maybe it's whatever value you come up with, what action could I take for my value this next month? What action could I be taking? And wiser self, if you think another value is even more important, please tell me that too. So please tell me, wiser self, any extra values and any action I could take over the next month. And wiser self, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for being here. And if I'm connected with you really well, I'd like to, you know, preserve this connection with an image or something that I can remember, so I can call upon you when I have a question or when I want to connect with myself. So if you have an image that comes to mind. And just the last thing, and then we're gonna, you can open your eyes after this or close them and I'll talk you through it. We're gonna do a calling in EFT about these values. So one more time, wiser self, is there anything I should know before I do this exercise where I really connect to my values for the next month and really connect to taking care of myself and those values at the same time? So I'm going to give us like 30 seconds for anything else from wiser self, and then I'm going to do this last exercise. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do, and you can choose to open your eyes or leave them closed. So the point on your hand that's like below your pinky, some people call it the karate chop point because you do karate chop. This is the point that you start on, and you can touch with all 4 fingers. And we're gonna say, I'm calling in, and I'm gonna say love, but you can say whatever values you just came up with. And then I'm gonna put and self-love. So you say, so let's say that your value is family. I'm calling in, focus on family and self-love. And we always say, and I love myself completely. So we're going to do that 3 times. And then I'm going to guide you through a regular calling in EFT. And like I said, you can leave your eyes closed or open, whichever feels good to you. All right, so I'm going to do love. I'm calling in love and self-love. And I love and accept myself completely. I'm calling in love and self-love more and more. And I love and accept myself completely. So again, you could be doing any value or values that really resonate for you. I'm calling in more love and self-love, and I love and accept myself completely. So now we go to that same point between your eyes, and you just say a word or 2 about those values. So I'm going to say love, love, love. But you could say family, joy, fun, who knows, whatever resonates for you. And then right and left of your eyes, or just pick one side, same words or whatever words come to you, calling in these values under your eyes. You can even say, I'm calling in these values, and not even say the word if you'd like, whatever feels good to you. So under your eyes is next. I'm calling in these values. I'm remembering to love myself under your nose. On your chin, I'm calling in these values of self-love and all of these other values. On your heart, I use just my fingers. I know that other one you can do either way, but that's how I was taught. So, and then under your arms, and you can just pick one arm. It's kind of like, you know, where you're like under your arms, like, I'll show you right here. Calling in these values. Yep. And then the last one is we pat our heads, calling in our values. Cool. So take a minute, you know, sit with that. And I'm going to share the last tip, which is about connecting with relationships. And then I'm going to be done. So I just had a reminder, which I think some of you remember, but if you haven't ever looked up the love languages, I think that the holidays is a wonderful time to do that, because both for when you ask for a gift and when you give a gift, in business too, but I'm thinking also in our families and our loved ones. Yeah, are you going to take the remote control? No, thank you. Then I think it's a really good idea to give in our love languages. And people don't always know each other's love languages. We might think we do. So yeah, I'm not gonna, because of time, I'm not gonna go over them in detail, but if you look it up, there are things like words of affirmation is one, gift giving is another, taking like doing nice things for people, like, you know, taking out the garbage would be like, you know, doing actions. I don't know, there's 2 more, but they're not coming to me right this second. And I know we're running low on time, but I'm just reminding us to, you know, take a second and see, you know, look them up. There are 5 usually. Sometimes maybe people have more in certain versions. Think about which one, or maybe there's 2 that you really like. And next time somebody says, like, I have a friend who's saying, you know, what can I give you for the holidays? You know, you can say, well, you know, what I'd really like is maybe it's time with people. I think time with people is another one. So what I'd really like is to spend time with you, you know, if that's your value. You know, don't feel like you have to. Maybe you do want gifts. Maybe you haven't had a lot of gifts. That's fine. But if there's another one that's alive for you, you know, make your holiday time, or if you don't celebrate holidays now, think about it at your birthday, whatever, you know, make that a special time by asking for what you want. We can do this in our daily lives, but I think especially with gift giving times, to make it, you know, more valuable. And the same with our loved ones. Ask them, you know, tell them the love language and say, how can I give you something that's in these love languages? You know, maybe, oh, touch is another one. Maybe they want a massage. Maybe they want you to rub their feet, you know, if it's a partner. You know, those things really make a difference, so that our gifts really are extra connecting and loving for the holidays. So that was the last thing. I'm done now. Sorry I took up so much time, but hopefully it's okay. So I think you're muted, Jennifer, if you're talking.
I'm always telling people to unmute, and what do? I'm sitting here muted. Because I didn't want you to hear anything going on my end. No, if you've not looked, yeah, that is great. Thank you, Ashley, for that. I've heard of EFT before, but I wasn't sure if everybody else had, and I wasn't sure. There's the tapping. Everybody knows about all this stuff, right? Or you've heard of it, maybe? If you've not heard about tapping, I think that's one of those things that's pretty amazing. But Kathryn, thank you. So Kathryn, when you're doing something like this, I know I've seen it, you've done our groups, a couple of our groups. You're looking for groups are a nice our way to do it, right? I mean,
yeah, I would love to speak to, and I know that I think Ashley said that maybe there might be, I think we're talking about maybe something in February or March, but yeah, I'd love to speak to a group and help in a group setting. I think that's a wonderful way for me to reach a lot of people at once, and then, for people to get helped too, in a nice way. So yeah, that would be ideal. I think if there's either an organization, that you think, now that you've seen a little bit of it, that might be a good fit. I could do something, I think that was like, what, 15 minutes long, maybe, I could do something, kind of shorter like that, or, I can do like more like 45 minutes to an hour, and yeah, that would be lovely. And I do have that course, like I mentioned, coming up at the beginning of January. So if you know somebody who might be, actually interested, just because you know them well, you're welcome to pass on my information. I can talk to them. But yeah, in terms of referrals, I think groups is a great space. Groups where, where you already know that they prioritize self-care, or where that they aren't prioritizing self-care and could use some, like where they just don't have the time or something, or they feel like they don't have the time but could use it,
yeah. So right. Anybody got any questions or anything? I'm just making sure. Well, thank you, Ashley. I'm looking at Ashley's picture because it's pretty awesome. But Kathryn, thank you for that.
Oh, I want to see the picture. Where's your picture, Ashley?
Yeah,
oh, hi, Ashley.
That is nice. Great. Picture. It's great. Well, let me